Look, I'm just a geologist. I like rocks. I love rocks.
Yep.
All right.
Pretty usual. Good evening, everybody. Good morning. This is the Geology Flannelcast. I am Steve.
Hey, I'm Chris.
I am Jesse.
Yeah. One day we might want to rehearse the beginning of our podcast.
Nah, you'd think after, God, we've been doing this for 8 years now.
Yeah.
On and off for 8 years.
This might be, is this episode 53? I don't even,
51.
51?
I was way off.
Yeah, the last one was 50. We didn't say anything.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Jesse did say something, though, last episode.
At no point in my life did I go swimming less because of volcanic eruption. That's part of the intro now.
That is awesome that you put that on the loop, Chris.
I need to file like an injunction or something.
Jesse, you could become a Patreon, and therefore you get to say whatever you want. But that's the only way you get to do it.
Yeah, we actually need more Patreons so I can get money to afford a Patreon.
There you go. Yeah, I like
very
it.
good, very good.
But
in case you missed the last episode, episode 50, there was it got a little. A little interesting. Jesse's controversial, yes, and it did come out. We got Jesse to finally admit that that in the summer of 1992, it did not affect his swimming patterns at all. So
it's disputed.
He does not look happy right now.
No. Yeah, it still is disputed. The debate
subject, yeah,
still shall continue. I believe the count is Ryan 4, Jesse 1, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I still got up my dry race board.
Yeah, so the talks will go on. So this is far from over, but Jesse is down but not out.
That's right.
To using some boxing analogies.
I don't call Jesse the comeback kid for nothing. I know he's got something up his sleeves. He'll pull out a little gem. I don't know what he'll do, but.
No, but what Jesse could do is create a Word document and list out all the different points and counterpoints. Go ahead.
Well, I was actually where I got that temperature data. I put it into a spreadsheet and I'm going to run some statistics on it. I'm going to approach this from a very scientific point of view.
I like it.
Yeah.
But you need to make it look pretty though. And how can you make it look pretty in a Word document?
I will.
If only we knew somebody that could help you format like a table of contents for this. Or
just throwing them up there for you, Thornburg.
If you're just listening to the podcast, Jesse just had this like eureka moment. Like,
I'm really off my game here because I'm flustered. You're in my head.
So for people like Thornburg who need help organizing their thoughts, maybe putting things down into some sort of cohesive pattern, perhaps in a Word document, for any of your Word formatting documentation needs, please go to formattingformula.com or check them out on YouTube. They have hundreds of videos for hours and hours and hours of content on Mac, PC, all different versions of Word. From Word 3 up to Word 365. If you subscribe to their videos, you'll never miss a video. It's youtube.com/C/formatting formula. We talked about this a little bit last podcast, Chris. If you go to youtube.com and you look for formatting formula, you can usually find it. But if you do the formatting formula /C/formatting formula, you will absolutely 100% find it. So formattingformula.com, all your Word needs. Check it out.
I was, just briefly looking at their YouTube page. One of their videos that's on the front page is putting different headers and footers on different pages that are oriented differently, which if you've ever done any document, sometimes you have to flip it into landscape to get an image like a figure on or something like that. If you're putting a map, this happens. I feel like I deal with this all the time.
I mean, that's next level stuff. That's like Word Jedi stuff right there,
Yeah, right. To get like the page numbers right. Oh gosh.
Yeah, but they show you how to do it, like with page breaks and this and that. I don't know. Like,
Yeah, 4-minute video to become, a word master.
yeah, exactly. So check them out, formattingformula.com. We can't say enough good things about them. And make sure you tell them that Geology Flannelcast sent you. They will, I don't know, pester them. Maybe they'll give you a discount because we sent them to you. So formattingformula.com or youtube.com/C/formatting formula. Check them out. And while you're on YouTube, you can check us out on YouTube as well. So just throwing that out there too.
Yeah.
Paying our own bills.
Yeah, youtube.com/Geology Flannelcast.
Very
We also, if you're so inclined, feel free to become a Patreon, which we mentioned earlier. With different tiers, it helps support the show, and we'd appreciate it if you've got some extra cash and you want to help us out.
Yeah, honestly, we put every single dime that we get from Patreon right back into the podcast, and that's legit, like no joke. Yeah.
Let's thank our listener who sent us a nice message.
Oh yes, Austin from Lenexa, Kansas. Yes. So Austin sent us a very nice message back in 2015 about
Austin won a contest. We posted a picture up. It was actually one of my cores that I was cracking open, and I said, if at first, I think it was like something like, first person who can tell me what type of bedding this is that I'm seeing in the core, we'll get you. I don't know. We gave him some stickers. He got it right.
Yeah, I can't remember if we sent him stickers or not. So
we did.
Oh, okay.
You said you did at least. I don't know. Maybe
that was 5 years ago. I can't remember if I sent stickers.
We're sending him new stuff. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So Austin was listening to us. Apparently, he had taken the FG a few times and had come super close to passing.
Steve, in case people don't know what the FG is, what does that stand for?
The Fundamentals of Geology exam presented by ASBOG, which is the Association of Board of State Geologists, something like that. I'm really close on that one. I always mess that name up, but it is ASBOG. So there's something like 32 states. Listen to our episode with Shannon George. That we talk all about the PG exam, the FG exam. So it's in two parts. One's the fundamentals, and then one's the practice of geology. They're both 4-hour exams, closed book. You could bring a basic calculator and some colored pencils. Yeah, that's right, colored pencils. So it's a legit exam, if you can bring in colored pencils.
Episode 45, in case you're interested.
So it is. I've taken this exam. It is incredibly difficult. It's very, very comprehensive of all of geology. For those engineers who are listening, you have the PG or the PE exam, which is very similar, but in the PE exam, you kind of focus a little bit on your speciality, whereas in the PG, it's kind of just a big, broad exam that encompasses a lot of different economic, hydrology, stratigraphy, structure, all different kinds of mineral exploration, things like that. So Austin was listening to us, and he attributes 100% of his passing. I'm kidding. I'm paraphrasing here, but he attributes us to actually helping him pass this FG and PG exam. So he didn't pass the FG, and then he went and took the FG and the PG in the same day, which is extremely tough. So it's a 4-hour exam with a half an hour break and then another 4-hour exam right after it. It is mentally draining. It is exhausting. So Austin, thanks for listening. I have some stickers here ready. I just need a stamp. Sorry. I just need to get a stamp, and we're going to send you some more stickers. So thanks for listening. And, he hit us up on Facebook. So check us out on Facebook. Geology Flannelcast.
Send us a message.
Yeah.
Hit us up.
I try real hard to stay on top of that. So,
I actually read it first, and then I messaged. I was like, hey, it was a nice message. Because I feel like you're very good at responding. I'd just be like, hey, that was nice. Thanks.
And I don't say much more than that, but that's fine. We all have our little jobs. Chris does almost nothing. Jesse and I handle most of the back end. So
I see how it is. Listen, piss off the guy that does all the editing. See what happens, all right?
So this is the Chris's Flannelcast.
All right. So yeah, so there's their Facebook and then Twitter at GeoFlannelcast, and I don't know, geologyflannelcast.com. So we don't have a guest tonight. Now we're getting back to it's a grassroots podcast. Is that what you say? Getting back to grassroots?
Yeah, back to basics.
Back to basics. That's it.
Just say back to our roots.
Back to our roots. That's it. I'm screwing up like, oh God.
Yeah, is that C3 or C4 grasses?
Depends on what year it was.
Wow. That was probably the dorkiest thing that we've ever said on this podcast. So very good, gentlemen.
That's a bold statement.
Ceased to amaze me.
Just call night then.
Yeah.
So we don't have it. We just figured we'd just kind of hang out tonight and just take it easy and just kind of talk about some more news stories, kind of our take on some stuff, and what's going on in the world in geology in case you're not in tune with things.
Yeah, and also we mention this a lot, but if you have any questions, shoot them to us. We'll try to answer them in the moment, but also sometimes we just save up those little gems and we'll have a whole episode on listener questions. So
yeah, I've been getting a bunch of them in the email. God, I sound like an old man. We've been getting a bunch of emails from some really, really good listener questions and some stuff that like I have to look some stuff up to really answer these questions. But it's fun. We love getting these questions, and I think we're going to start doing some more YouTube live streams coming up in the near future. So it'll be fun. Throw a couple questions out, here and there for
I just want to see like Brooke in the background with one of those big like canvas bags full of mail, like dumping it out in the background, like mail's here. Maybe one day. Who does paper mail? It's all electronic. Hey, I just said I need a stamp.
Oh, that yeah.
So
we could see if Lacey's still around. I mean, she's still answering phone calls from.
I forgot about
episode 1.
She's on her payroll. We've been paying her.
Yeah, that's where all our Patreon.
Earn your keep, Lacey.
I am going to drop my. I'll give a mailing address if you want to send us objects, send us mail. But
that is a bold statement.
I'll give my temple address.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah. But I don't know it off the top of my head. So
1901 North 13th Street, Philadelphia, PA.
Attention, Geology Flannelcast.
some random house in North Philly is just going to get like boxes of rock.
Anyway, well, that's a good point. Yeah, I actually thought about that today. Like, we need a PO box or something. But Temple, that's free.
And we should start like a thing for people that like do. So we talked about one of the previous episodes about how you're not supposed to take the rocks from Hawaii, and people take the rocks from Hawaii anyways, and they send it back to the Mauna Loa Observatory. We should do something like if you took a Hawaii rock, we'll take it.
Yeah. Well, so
we'll take your bad juju.
I had a story
as long as it's legal, as long as not from National Park or anything like that, obviously.
Well, I forgot to add this, and I'm just thinking of it now. One of my good friends he went on his honeymoon to Hawaii, and on a hike like up one of the volcanoes said to his wife, was like, I need to get this rock for Jessie. And apparently she was very unimpressed by like going on this extra hike to get a rock for me. But I'm really glad he was thinking of me on his honeymoon. That's what you should do. But at the same time, when he gave it to me, I was kind of like, oh no, because I know about juju.
The curse, yeah.
So I put it in a semi-prominent spot where I kept all my rocks, but never touched it. It sits there, place of honor. But at the same time, I don't want that bad mojo on me.
So I think this should become our goal for the Patreon. If we get enough Patreons, we could all go back and bring it back to Hawaii.
That'll be our That's our push goal or something.
Yeah, right.
Fund our scientific trip.
to rid Jesse of his bad juju.
It's funny because I've been talking about volcanoes, trying to teach my kids about them. The other day they asked, like, why do volcanoes happen? And I was like, oh my God, I've been waiting
Finally.
5 years for this.
Pull up a chair, kids.
Yeah. I've never been more proud of you, children.
But now, like, because I don't know, I saw something about a volcano being on Hawaii, and now they're always just like, what, we should just go to Hawaii. And I'm like, let's
not get ahead of ourselves here.
that's funny. Maybe someday when you all get a job.
Yeah, get a job, start paying taxes.
Yeah.
We make a little trip out to Hawaii.
Also, when there's not a pandemic, that'd be.
Oh well, yeah, that too.
Yeah, that's going.
You're down in Georgia where there are no laws.
What pandemic down here?
Yeah. Anywho.
Yeah.
All right, segue to our first news story. How does that sound?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we could. So Jesse mentioned volcanoes. I'll go first. I'll pull this up. Let's talk about Iceland volcanoes. This will be fun because you guys will hear me butcher some Icelandic names. So
I'm excited.
This will be a lot of fun. All right, cool. So starting June 19th, there has been a swarm of earthquakes in Iceland. There's been over 4,500 quakes out near the small village. Here we go. First name I'm going to butcher. Siglufjordur, I believe, in the northeast country. Okay, so let's see. The Iceland Meteorological Office, I guess they monitor the earthquakes there. They said the earthquakes, let's see, 3 of these earthquakes in the swarm of 4,500 were measured magnitude of 5, and the biggest was a 5.8. So there's some activity there. They're worried that one of the volcanoes may erupt soon. And if you remember so some of these, when these volcanoes in Iceland go off, it's not just like the Icelandic people that have to worry about this. It's actually like the entire European continent. So I believe there was a really bad eruption in 2011, and I think it was
Eyjafjallajökull.
Look at this guy. Look at this guy.
I was just waiting to break that out.
I knew you were my go-to guy. I knew you'd be able to say that because why not?
Yeah, there was a funny cartoon of how Icelandic people name their volcanoes, and it's just a cat walking across a keyboard.
It erupted in April of 2010.
Okay.
And part of the reason, because I was there.
2010, okay.
I was there in March of 2011. So.
Oh, okay.
So like there's like a famous photograph of the ash cloud, and there's behind this farm. Like I was up on the glacier that it was on, and like it was still covered in ash. It was pretty cool. Anyhow.
So there was another volcano in Iceland. Well, so that disrupted air traffic. Like you couldn't fly any airplanes.
For like
because
6 weeks or something.
Yeah, all
of a long time.
Yeah.
Really.
So when these volcanoes go off and it basically burps up this giant ash cloud, airplanes can't fly through that. So some people think like, oh, it's just a cloud, like a normal like cumulus cloud or something like that. No. This cloud is actually it's filled with microscopic glass particles. So if you have a jet fly through that cloud, the jet engine gets all clogged up with the glass particles, and it makes it a little bit difficult for that plane to fly once the engines get all clogged up. So
I have an interesting side story. So I've done some field work at an old airport in New Jersey where they used to, and they still do, they test jet engines. And like when you say you can't get dust in a jet engine, you think like, oh, whatever. Like, no, these things are like precision mapped blades with very precise curves. Like they spray them like this ultraviolet light, and they could see if there's any microscopic cracks in them and things like that. And then they put them in these test chambers and they fire them up, and like this whole big production before they can attach the jet engine to a plane. And, you know, they bring them in for maintenance and things like that. Like if there's like a little tweak in one of those little blades, and there's hundreds of blades all around the jet engine, you know, one little thing wrong with that can throw it off balance, and then, you know, that no bueno. So when they say like you can't fly through it, and this ash too it's you know, it's tiny particles, but it's like blades of glass, like they're little ninja stars in the sky, like,
well, I always say, like,
red and stuff.
You know, you use like a pumice stone on when I teach my intro class, like pumice you use on your feet, and I show them under a microscope, and you can see it because it's glass. And the reason you use a pumice stone on your foot is because it's scraping off the dead layers of skin off your gross foot. And like you would just take that and smash it with a hammer, and then blow it through a jet engine.
Yeah,
it's rock. Like it may look like, especially when you have like non-geologists and they look at a volcano erupting, it looks like smoke. Especially when it gets really fine, you actually can't see it anymore when it's up in the high in the atmosphere. They have to use, I don't know, whatever they use, radar or satellite to see it. That was with when Mount Redoubt erupted in 1989 off in Alaska, and the jet flew through it.
Oh, yeah. I never knew if that story was true, if that was like an urban legend.
Oh, no. You can see the picture of it after it landed. So when it erupted, so if, the story goes, and I'm going to sort of butcher this, it erupted in 1989, and it pushed out all this volcano. It pushed out all
volcano stuff.
And it caused, I'm just looking at it here, it was a 747 jumbo jet operated by KLM Airlines that flew into the cloud. And part of it was because it becomes tough to see because it spreads out in the atmosphere. But it caused all 4 engines to fail.
Holy! So it just like glided down? Is that how it landed?
No. It went from like 33,000 feet to like 10,000 feet. It like just dropped before they could get one or two of the engines restarted. Because you only need, what is it, like one engine. Like they're built in such a way that you can still
have levels of redundancy, but that must have been terrifying.
Yeah, but there's a picture of it on the ground, just like covered in ash, and you can actually see later on when they take apart the engines, all the blades, like you were saying, are all just like ripped,
mangled.
Yeah.
Oh man, wow. These volcanoes are no joking matter. So let's see. Also in Iceland, so this earthquake swarm is unrelated to. There's a volcano. I'm gonna once again butcher the pronunciation of this this word. Grimsvatn.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Grimsvat. Whatever. Grimsvatn wants to say.
If we have any Icelandic listeners out there, please, send us like a MP4 file or like audio file, and we'll
of how improper I'm saying this volcano name. So they're worried that one's going to erupt. This one's pretty cool. So this is completely unrelated. So this is the one I mentioned earlier. There's a volcano that erupted in 2011. This is the one, Grimsvatn, erupted in 2011. And once again, that also disrupted some air traffic. And so they're seeing at this volcano right now increased sulfur dioxide emissions coming out. And there's a lot of the sulfur dioxide, and like they're saying, like this is a lot. We haven't seen this much sulfur dioxide come out without an eruption. And so this Grimsvatn volcano started acting up about 6 months ago, and in 6 months, the whole area has been uplifted 4.7 inches. That's a lot. I was really surprised.
Wow.
That's right. So this thing, there's a magma chamber that's moving around in there. So since the end of May at the Grimsvatn volcano, there's been 2,000 earthquakes, and they say the geologists think that the magma chamber So Iceland, and now I'm looking at this picture of the Grimsvatn volcano erupting in 2011, and it's beautiful. Like at least the ash clouds coming out. It's wow. I mean,
so
I wouldn't. I'm
Grim's-
sure if you're near the volcano, it's you're obviously a little nervous for your safety. But from looking at it from far away, my gosh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I was looking, and it's funny you say about the sulfur. So I mean, I was just about to say, oh, it's near Laki, which is sort of famous in Iceland. It erupted in the late 1700s, 1783 maybe. But one of the things, like if you ever go to Iceland, like one of the things you have to get used to, right, is all the water smells like sulfur. You know, you turn on the tap, you drink water, it smells like sulfur. You take a shower, it smells like sulfur. So there's a lot of sulfur in I guess the magma. But Laki, when I don't know how that's how you're saying, when it erupted in 1780 something, it released so much sulfur dioxide, which caused acid rain that basically killed all the livestock, killed all the crops. There was a big famine in Iceland that killed off like 1/3 of the population.
Holy
Wow.
cow.
And it was
Jeez.
basically from the sulfur dioxide, not so much like the ash or anything. But it's really interesting, these volcanoes. I was in like an art gallery where the artist actually had it was essentially just like a core, and you could see she had it labeled on the core where the volcanoes were, like the years, because
that's cool.
like layers of ash or like when things were dead and so on. It's pretty neat.
That's
I
cool.
mean, as far as volcanoes and death go.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
I guess this would be a good opportunity just to, real fast for some of the listeners out there that don't really have a background in geology, explain to them why we're having volcanoes in Iceland. And Iceland's kind of a weird one. There's a couple different processes going on there. So number one, it's what's known as a hotspot. So there's like almost there's this superheated rock coming up from the Earth's mantle right there, and then when it gets close to the Earth's surface, then it melts and turns into magma, and then that's basically the fuel for these volcanoes. And then on top of that, it kind of, I guess, further complicates issues. Iceland, the country of Iceland straddles the seafloor spreading center in the Atlantic Ocean, along the mid-ocean ridge there. So that's where the Atlantic Ocean is spreading open. And there's, but these volcanoes, these eruptive volcanoes that we're talking about, these are most likely, I guess, fueled by the hotspot activity, that superheated rock coming up from the Earth's mantle. Usually with the seafloor spreading volcanism that you get, that's more like subdued volcanism. But that can also lead to the earthquakes too, the seafloor spreading. So it's a complicated, kind of a complicated thing going on there in Iceland.
That was a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, like for example, Hawaii is a hotspot, but Hawaii is a hotspot in the middle of a tectonic plate, like in pretty darn the middle of a tectonic plate. So it's nowhere near the edge of a plate. It's nowhere near like where mountains are being built or where new crust is being formed. But Iceland is a hotspot, and it's on the spot where new crust is being formed. So it's a double whammy.
Yeah.
I've been asking my wife if we can go there for 16 years now.
Yeah, keep on asking.
Still hasn't happened. Maybe on our way back from Hawaii, we can hit Iceland.
Because that makes sense.
Take
That
the
makes a
long-
lot of sense.
Listen, I'm not a geography major. Come on.
I'd keep on dreaming there, buddy.
Yeah. From hotspot to hotspot? Come on.
And then you you might as well go from Hawaii to Iceland to the Galapagos. And what's another hotspot? Canary Islands? Is that a hotspot?
We'll do some research before we plan this trip out.
The hotspot tour.
Yeah.
Anyways. So a lot of Iceland's always tectonically very active. So lots of, they regularly get volcanoes occurring there. So that's all I got from Iceland. I forgot about this one. I have another volcano story.
Oh, great.
Here we go. Jesse, what did you say? Volcanoes and death, or what did you say about how did you phrase that?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Volcanoes and death? Sure.
Volcanoes and death, yeah. All right, so I got a news story here, and this must have been a crazy situation that happened. Okay, so a little background story for you guys. Okay, let me just read the first line in this news article. So, basically, I'm not going to read the article, but there's a newlywed couple, and they're on their honeymoon, and they're in New Zealand.
Oh,
And
yeah, I did hear about this.
Yeah. It's not a fun story. It's,
No.
Yep, I know the story.
Yeah.
And so they went on this. They booked a tour off they're on a cruise, right? And they booked this tour. Oh, come hike a volcano. And so they're up there on the volcano, and the volcano decides to burp a little bit, and this very, very, very hot ash cloud comes basically roaring down at them. And so at first they looked at it, they're like, oh my God, look at this. They managed to take a couple pictures, but then all of a sudden they started hearing their tour guide yelling, run, and that's when they're like, oh crap. Like, and they said everything went to like just straight up panic mode as they saw this ash cloud coming at them. So the ash cloud caught up with them, and essentially they said they were in darkness. Well, this ash cloud was also really hot. And this couple got burnt really, really bad. What was the numbers at? I just had it. 54% of their bodies. Yeah, 54% of the one person's body, 23% of the other person's body was covered with just burnt from this ash cloud, and so they could feel their skin burning, and a bunch of people died from this. This is like worst case scenario if you're visiting a volcano. So yeah, there are 38 people on this, and 19 died as a result of the eruptions. The 2 tour guides were also killed. And yeah, so this volcano took out a bunch of people on there. So this couple's injuries were like they had to spend 10 and 16 days respectively in medically induced comas because their burns were so bad. So anyways, they're suing the cruise company that sold them the tour for this, this volcano tour from hell.
Yeah,
so
right.
Yeah.
They're lucky to be alive, but man, oh man, that must
That's
have
like
been...
have you ever seen the video? It was from Japan a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I showed that in my class.
Yeah, where you can you hear the ash start, you see the cloud, and it wasn't, because this sounds like a pyroclastic flow that you're talking about, but this was just ash, but you can hear it hitting. They get in a shelter.
Well, I saw that video. In Japan, I was just wondering how come those people didn't get burnt from that.
It probably cooled off.
Obviously it cooled off. It wasn't that hot, but very good, Jesse.
They have superhuman skin.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends on, I guess, the type of eruption and
yeah,
what it's spitting out. But I don't know.
So you don't want to be anywhere near a volcano when it explodes. It's not going to end well. There's do you guys know about the Crafts, that husband and wife couple?
Oh yeah, Maurice and Katja Kraft.
Yes, yeah. They were the 2 geologists, and these guys were crazy. They would be right up in there.
Was that Mount Unzen?
Yeah,
Mount Unzen took them out. Yeah.
But they were doing a documentary, and they're interviewing Maurice Kraft, and he's like, if I die tomorrow, it doesn't matter. I've seen so much in my 25 years of being a volcanologist. He was French. That's my French accent.
Spot on.
Yeah, it's like you're talking to a Parisian. But it really foreshadows things and that was I guess there's a landslide induced pyroclastic flow, and it took them and 48 others out.
Yeah.
Wasn't there something, the winds shifted and
they
weren't expecting the pyroclastic flow to blow over that direction? But you gotta stay away from these volcanoes when they're going off. It's not good. There's some YouTube videos of this couple, the Crafts, and like I said, they are right on top of these volcanic eruptions, and volcanic bombs are falling down near them, and they're oh, this is great, whew.
Yeah.
I guess to each their own, and I guess they went out doing what they love, but I'm not doing that anytime soon.
No, I'm good.
I mean, yeah, I guess not.
You'd be up on a volcano as it erupted. Jesse, you haven't left your house in 3 months because of the coronavirus, and you're going to go up in a volcano. And
I don't know. Yeah.
He's thinking about it.
Well, I mean, it's like you can see ash and lava. I can't see the coronavirus, so I can try and bob and weave.
Yeah, you're also not going to bring home ash and lava to your house.
Yeah, I mean, I would, but after it cooled, I'd be like, look at all these sweet rocks. Yeah, no, I probably wouldn't.
We should have just made this a volcano episode.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I had two.
I have an earthquake story later, but now I feel awkward about it.
Why?
Because I feel like I'm overshadowed by these ash clouds.
It's not groundbreaking.
Ah.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, Stephen Peterson.
All right. That's the last thing I'm going to say tonight.
What else do you got? You got anything else you want to?
Yeah, I got one more news story. I got a story about an asteroid impact that we were supposed to talk about in the last episode, but
Yeah.
do you want to talk about this one, or do you want to go with your earthquake story?
Yeah, my earthquake stories, there's not too much to it. It's pretty interesting. I guess, so speaking of butchering names, this one's just in Southern California, the San Jacinto Mountains. Is that how you?
I think so. That sounds about familiar.
Sounds right.
Right near Palm Springs, if you're familiar with that part of the state. So, good old the San Andreas fault system down there. Anyhow, there's most times when an earthquake occurs, get a large event, right? That you break your tectonic hold, and it's followed by a bunch of aftershocks that fade as the system locks back up. So it's along the fault line, two plates are held together by friction. They build up enough energy that they break that frictional hold and they slip a little bit, and then you release the energy. And things sort of shake as everything sort of gets back into play, elastic rebound. Well, in this one little stretch here, they had a really drawn out swarm of over 22,000 tremors.
Wow.
That occurred over a 4-year period.
Holy cow.
Wow. Yeah.
So they were trying to figure out, hey, what's going on here? And they ended up they took all the data and they fed it through a computer, if you're familiar.
Computers,
a series of the system of tubes and wires, I'm told.
Yes. Just like the post office.
Yeah. But they let some computer learning. I'm not sure. It's all black box. It's always good to know how things work, but this is outside my wheelhouse. And so, they were trying to figure out why you have this like really just slow motion swarm of all of these tremors. And here it looks like there's some sort of fluid, either water or liquid carbon dioxide at a depth. It's not too deep. It looks like it's 5 or 6 kilometers.
Wow, it's pretty shallow.
Yeah. And, it broke. It's migrating through these rocks, and it broke into the fault system, and it gets into those cracks. And as soon as it gets in those cracks, it sort of forces them open, and it causes the ground to shake as it's forcing its way through these cracks. So it's sort of interesting. They're still looking at it. They're all pretty small scale, 4, maybe a 5 magnitude quake.
So is this liquid like lubricating it? So it's releasing some of the tectonic tension, so there's not a big earthquake?
It's a great question. Still being studied.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, they're very limited explanations right now, but that's what they're...
Nope. I think we should just drill into the San Andreas and lubricate it.
Let's get all that. Yeah, just WD-40, a giant can of WD-40.
Yes, exactly.
Sprayed in there. It just caused the plates just go whoosh, slide right down.
I wonder what
off into space.
I wonder what the source of that carbon dioxide is. Maybe would it come? Could you get it? Well, that part of California, you're not getting. There's no subduction at that part of California.
No, but if you have any carbonate rocks down there and they intersect there's maybe some groundwater that's acidic. I don't know.
Yeah, could you get like hydrothermal fluids, like
Sure.
basically flowing through limestones and then releasing carbon dioxide?
Anywhere, my friend.
Yeah.
I guess you're right. Yeah, if there's the limestone, then if it goes through an acidic, if there's
And
like
what is
acidic
that?
water flowing through there, it'll start to dissolve out the limestones.
That ancient tectonic plate, that
The Farallon?
Farallon.
Farallon plate. Yeah. Like that could be a source of carbonate, right?
Yes, I don't really know too much about the Farallon. I know it's like dead, and it's supposed like peeling off of North America and kind of falling down into the mantle, supposedly. It's not
Supposedly, it had a really shallow subduction, so it it
like just
rode
scraping under there. Yeah.
Yeah, did
the
it
old
cause-
undercarriage? It's like when you go over a speed bump too fast or something.
Yep.
Didn't it,
Farallon plate.
the volcano, because it was such low angle subduction, the volcanoes associated with the subduction, the Farallon plate were they located in like Colorado or something? I want to say it was pretty far inland.
Yeah, isn't part of the basin and range explained by the drag of the Farallon plate?
I thought it was the basin and range was the Farallon plate detaching.
Oh, maybe.
And that's causing everything to bow down because they thought that the basin range was essentially, at first they thought it was a rift zone.
Yeah.
Now it's like, I don't think I don't believe that that's the leading hypothesis now with the extension that's occurring at the basin and range. I think I think it might be related to that Farallon plate kind of peeling off or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't.
Cool.
It's not my realm of expertise for that.
No,
that
but
geology.
22,000 tremors in 4 years.
It's 5,000 a year.
That's a lot of data points.
Let the computer do it. Do all the heavy lifting. That's what I say.
So it's like natural fracking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. That's actually, yeah. Huh. Good thing there's no natural gas down there. Be flaring off.
Or is there?
Oh, shoot.
I don't know. I'm not going
to. Further closer to the coast, you get a ton of oil and stuff. But.
Yeah.
We should just be wildcatters. Let's do it.
Oh man, that's what they say. There's money in oil and natural gas.
Yeah. I don't know. I think we should just go out with our buddy Desmond and man,
go into creepy old mines.
Get a couple beers in that guy. We can take him out to Alaska. Just all right, man. Just cut him loose. See where see where he goes. Just Yukon Cornelius out there.
Where's the gold? Give me the gold. That's what
Where's the gold, Mikey?
Nice Goonies reference.
Thanks. That's an 80s movie.
Yeah.
Write it down there, Chris.
Well, 90s. We write down the 90s movie.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll write it down.
No, it's
Goonies written down. Done. All right. I got another news story. This is my last news story. This is a good one. We can talk about this one. This is the one I was going to talk about for the episode with Chris Conwell, but we kind of kicked it all or pushed it. All right. So there is in the I guess historically there's been a debate over what killed the dinosaurs. Was it an asteroid impact or that's basically the biggest most people subscribe to that hypothesis that it was the asteroid impact that took out the dinosaurs. But before the discovery of the Chicxulub impact crater, which that was essentially the smoking gun, that was the crater from the asteroid that hit 66 million years ago and took out the dinosaurs.
Yeah, and we've talked about this.
Yeah,
in several different episodes. So
yeah, it comes up a fair amount on this podcast. We talk about Chicxulub, but it's such a cool topic, you know. And then there's another group, and it seems like those numbers are waning a bit from my experience, but who think that one of the things that took out the dinosaurs was increased volcanic activity at the Deccan Traps, which is in India. And if you're not familiar with the Deccan Traps, it's these
massive
lava fields. Yeah. I'm looking it up right now.
Like the amount, the cubic miles of basalt that's known, let alone the cubic miles of basalt that they hypothesized was released during these. Like it just must have looked like hell on earth for what, several million years out there. Like,
it was over a million years of.
Yeah, I thought it was 2, but I was guessing.
I'll follow you. I'll believe you. Yeah,
but essentially just the Earth splitting open and hell raining down on the planet.
Yeah, I mean, in some places, it's what is it? It's several thousand feet.
Okay, I got the numbers. It's the thickness of these lava flows is greater than 2,000 meters.
Yeah, jeez Louise.
So for the American listeners, that's 6,500 feet. 6,500 feet. So it's a little more than a mile. Like a mile and a quarter. Yeah. And it covers an area of nearly 200,000 square miles, or for international listeners, that's 500,000 square kilometers, which is roughly the size of the state of Washington and Oregon combined in the United States. That's pretty big. That's like the Pacific Northwest. That's a pretty big swath of land,
which is also covered by a flood basalt.
Actually, you're right. That is
yeah. The Columbia basalt's up there. But anyway, the Deccan Traps are pretty wild in that they release all of these gases too, which are bad.
Yeah, they're full of mercury and carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide and
it's like you're saying, if you're standing there and these things start unloading, you'd be like, oh man, this is bad.
Yeah. So we talked about volcanoes and how bad like one volcanic eruption in Iceland disrupted air travel for 6 weeks. Imagine a million years of this volcano, or they're called traps. It's not all volcanoes.
It's lava flows. It's just
it's like the ground basically just like unzippers and lava just pours on the surface.
Yeah.
They're called flood basalts because it's flooded.
The volume of this stuff is, let's see, they say it's 12,275 cubic miles of basalt, which is the rock that this lava turned into. And just to kind of put that into perspective, the 1980 eruption of Mount St. Helens produced about 1 cubic kilometer of volcanic material. So this is...
You said cubic miles and then you said cubic kilometers.
Oh, I'm sorry. So cubic kilometers.
Keep your scales straight, buddy.
Well, thank you for calling me out. It was 512,000 cubic kilometers of basaltic material, and St. Helens produced 1. Okay. So
500,000 to 1.
Yes. More than 500,000. Yeah.
Slightly more than 500,000.
Yeah. 500,000 to 1. Yeah. And so this thing erupted between 65 and 60 million years ago, which is kind of around the time period that the dinosaurs went out. And so the dinosaurs, we don't see any dinosaurs after 66 million years ago. So the other, this other group of geologists were thinking that maybe the Deccan Traps had a say in it. And then there was the third option, which is like, well, maybe it was a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. And I've read some articles recently within the last 5 years or so that have suggested, a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. So there's a new study out, and that it's basically saying, hey, it's not the Deccan traps. We're pretty confident that it was the asteroid impact and the asteroid impact alone. So they this group did some modeling, did some studies at looking at the blockage of sunlight that would occur after this impact hit the Earth. So first thing they did, they looked at a 5% reduction in sunlight. What would it be? What if 5% of sunlight was reduced? And they consider this like a very mild reaction to this asteroid impact. And so this model from the study suggested that the 5% wouldn't have been enough to lead to the extinction of the dinosaurs. But if you bump that up and you do like a 10 to 20% reduction in sunlight, now this would have devastating effects to the dinosaurs. And so with a dimming of 15% of the light from the sun would completely take them out.
Yeah. And didn't they say like even like the worst volcanic eruptions on the planet or something like 2 to 7% blockage of light or something like that? I could be wrong, but basically they're saying there's no way the Deccan traps could cause this much blockage of light.
Yeah, well, so actually this study says, and they don't even think that it's even one of the, it was kind of like a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B, because they look at the amount of carbon dioxide that was released from this volcanic eruption at the Deccan traps, and they're like, no, it's
basically like, yeah, you may have gotten a flat tire on the highway. That was the Deccan traps on the dinosaurs' life travels, but the asteroid impact slammed an asteroid into your car and killed everybody.
Yeah, there it is. So, yeah, exactly.
It may have been a bad day or year or million years for the dinosaurs, but no matter what, after that impact, nothing was going to survive anyway. Mm-hmm. Non-avian dinosaurs were going to survive anyway.
Yeah. So this article says the team even suggests that rather than wiping out life, the pulses of global warming coming from the carbon dioxide released from the volcanic activity would have actually helped out a little bit from the cooling associated with the asteroid strike. That's
interesting.
So this has been a debate that's been going on for a while. It's interesting to see the two sides, because from time to time you see these articles come out like,
and from both sides of the aisle, if you want to call it that, but these are brilliant people. Like, these are people who thought these things out, like done millions of experiments, thousands of hours, hundreds of thousands of hours. Like they spent their careers and lives formulating these hypotheses.
Yeah. So one of the leading proponents of the Deccan traps gave a seminar in our department last year or the year before. I don't know. Time has no meaning anymore.
It's true.
But she went through and talked about all of her research and stuff. And she's very sort of controversial. And when she leads you through what they've done, you're like, this is really incredible stuff. Like cutting edge, reworking a lot of the way things are dated, did incredible age assessments on some of the ash and some of the zircons, and it was really incredible stuff. And then a lot of times people, especially in this camp, will take a turn and be like, and then it caused X, Y, and Z and all of these other things that killed all of the 80% of life on Earth because of A, B, and C. And you're like, all right, I can sort of see it, but at the same time, you sort of overshadow all this really incredible work you've done by making these, trying to make it fit into the bigger picture, trying to say it did all of this other stuff.
Yeah,
it's like a really interesting talk that like it had me and then it sort of lost me.
Yeah. You found the candlestick in the billiard room, but you overlooked the gun in the conservatory.
Yeah, nice.
What are you talking
That's a Clue
about?
reference.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a
But-
great metaphor. I really, or an
But then you found all the dinosaurs with gunshot holes. So not one was hit with a candlestick.
I guess we'll never know.
Yep.
I was at a
That
geology.
was an 80s movie too.
Clue. Oh yeah, Clue. Where'd that that's second.
Oh yeah,
80s
Tim
movie.
Curry. That was a great
Tim
one.
Curry. Yeah, used to always
I
be on
think
Comedy
that had
Central.
to be 80s, right?
Yeah, it was like 80. It was mid 80s, 80,
Okay.
85.
Was it?
Yeah.
Where'd it go? It doesn't matter. 85. You're right. Okay.
Nice.
I was at one of the geology conferences years ago, and it was one of those situations where it's kind of a group of people. We all went out to dinner together, and I was sitting next to one of these the geologist who studies asteroid impacts. And so, of course, like this is not my field of expertise. I just kind of wanted to learn a little bit more. I just wanted to have a conversation about it. And this, like I said, this person was studied impacts, and I asked them what I said. Well, let's talk about the extinction of the dinosaurs. So, how do you feel about the Deccan traps having a say with this extinction event? Oh my God, this guy just crucified me in front of everybody. He was so like offended that I brought that up, and it was, I was just asking a question. I just wanted to have a conversation. I wasn't like questioning any of this person's research or anything like that. I said, what do you think about like increased volcanism and the Deccan traps? And, oh, you would have just thought I killed his new puppy or something like that. Jeez. Yeah. So I learned my lesson. I didn't learn any lessons. I just asked a question. All right. So that's my little Chicxulub story with the Deccan traps.
No, it is. Impacts are tricky because, they can leave evidence all the way across the globe. But, like Jesse's book analogy, it's like someone took a book and threw all the pages into the air and all the pages landed all over the planet. And you have to go across the planet and kind of try to put them all back to the same book. Like it's a difficult task. And therefore, some people have skepticism towards it. But at the same time, this particular period, this 66 million years ago, it's been studied so much left and right and all like,
oh yeah.
You can see that line across the globe. Like, hey, there were all these critters. Now there's not.
Yeah.
Or hey, look at all these like burrows, and they were this big, and then after this they're like this big, because everything was stressed, everything was like, had to compete for food. Like it's just really, really cool stuff, interesting stuff. So
yeah, like you said, Steve, it's just this stuff's been. I mean, lots and lots and lots of people have been looking at this particular extinction event, and just trying to figure out what it is. And I think we're getting there.
But that's what I love about science. You're never done.
No, yeah, and it's just like
it's not like I remember, thinking as a freshman, well, why would I study this? It's already been studied. Like, no, because apparently I was from Texas when I was a freshman. But
interesting.
Yeah, like a lot of people think that, like, oh, well, someone already figured that out. Like, well, did they, or did they interpret the data in their way, and maybe they're wrong? And
yeah, it's just like, whenever you're doing any type of scientific research project, you might come up with one answer, but then you'll come up with 5 other questions, that you don't know about. And so the more research you do, the more questions that you have. Mm-hmm. So it's
the like, perfect pyramid scheme.
That's
keep grad students working for cheap, right? Yeah. I got all these more questions. The work's never done,
Yeah, we'll keep going.
Yeah, we're not going to let you graduate just yet. You got to find out the answer for these new questions now. But no, it's kind of like the way it's. One of the questions that I have with my research is just like just kind of like we're never going to figure this one out. Maybe someone else will, down the line, jump at it with a new set of eyes and more patience, and make some progress. But yeah, just the way the science. This is kind of the nature of the beast there with scientific research. So we got pretty much covers the what's about this new study with the Chicxulub impact. So we got any other stories?
I mean, it's tough to top that.
Yeah.
I'll very briefly say about you can see from satellite, there's coccolithophores that are blooming off the southern
What'd you just
coast.
call me?
Yeah. Blooming coccolithophore. It's something you get at Outback Steakhouse, I think.
It's for going to the bathroom with.
Yeah. But you can see them from space, and we'll post a link to it. But essentially, it's these little plankton that when they bloom, you can see the patch of it. They're bright blue, but they're off the coast of the cliffs of Dover right now, which are chalk that is formed from coccolithophores.
They're
Full
eating
circle.
themselves.
Full circle. But they've never seen a bloom this big or this bright, and it's climate change. It's just they've had the most.
You're just gonna drop that bomb? We're gonna leave.
The most sunny days on record at this point in the year. It's warmer. You get them usually in the spring. You usually get diatoms bloom, and then around the summer solstice you get coccolithophores bloom. And it's just a function of the way nutrients and stuff is flushed in from the winter melts.
No, it's not from excessive like fertilizer and things like that. It's actually from climate change. I think.
Sure that plays a role into it, but heating up the ocean and whatnot. I think, but the heating of the ocean created like a part of the English Channel became stratified this year because it heated so much. So that you didn't get a lot of mixing of the water because these things sort of like it. I think.
Yeah, we got to note that down. Talking about stratified water layers and where you find them on the planet and how they differ. That's really, really it's interesting to me.
Steve, your Philadelphia accent really came out strong there. Hey, stratified water layers.
Did I say water? Sorry. Water. Sorry. I yell at my kids when they say water. Do we some water ice? No. Some water ice.
Yeah, some water and some crowns.
Yeah. Oh, my wife says crowns. Drives me up.
Crowns. That's what I always say. Crowns.
Crayons.
Crayons. How about crayons?
What?
Crayons.
No.
Crayons?
No. I used to have a friend who said turlet instead of toilet.
Oh, I knew someone that said turlet.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing. I thought this person was always just joking when they said
Yeah. I also know a guy who says milk.
Oh, that's not the proper way to say it. Thank you very much.
How about was it a rough? The rough on the house?
Oh,
no.
Rough.
A rough.
Rough.
Chris, if you're looking for a little Philly accent, you should look up Aunt Mary Pat. Aunt Mary Pat on Facebook. It's just a character, but oh man, she's hysterical.
Yeah, typical Philly.
Yeah, it's awesome. Anyway,
I miss it. Well, Jesse, it's really funny. You said that on in that part on the English Channel, they've had like a record number of sunny days this year. I have a buddy that he moved out to England last year, and so he's just telling me how like he goes, it's always raining, and he's it's like really depressing, and that's funny to know that this is actually a record number of sunny days. Whoopsies. Great. So
that's good.
Yeah. It's an interesting little news tidbit there on the channel.
Yeah, and we'll post a link because you really need to see like the satellite image. It's pretty. It's pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty. And so those blooms with the coccolithophores, is that similar to like? Do you know? You may not know the answer to this. I don't.
All the
Like algal blooms and like it being like causing like the death zones, the anoxic areas and death zones?
So you run into so they're not the same thing because a lot of times algal I think is just like cyanobacteria, where these are little critters. They make a calcium carbonate shell. Coccolithophores make calcium carbonate shells. Diatoms,
silica,
skeleton. So it's the internal part. But they do cause problems with the ecosystem in that they're all using up oxygen. So the same thing. That's what an algal bloom is bad because it a lot of times causes anoxia because
it's from them dying, and when they die, the decomposition uses up oxygen, and then
yes, yes and no, because
I know it's a negative feedback loop from the algal blooms.
Yeah, so it's both because when they're alive, they're photosynthesizing. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, you're right. I've got it backwards. Yeah, they're using oxygen. Yeah.
No, but it's they're photosynthetic.
Yeah, they also block sunlight too from reaching lower in the water column.
Oh, okay.
And yeah. But yeah, you're right. When they die, they also, I'm just reading about algal blooms. The algae secrete. They also secrete toxins as they grow, which is bad.
Oh, that's okay.
Name implies.
Yeah,
that's where you get things like red tides and.
Oh yeah. Plagues.
Locusts, the usual.
Good. Yeah.
But yeah, I guess when you block sunlight and it depletes oxygen, so it really messes with like filter feeders that are on the bottom of the ocean. Bottom of the sea floor. But I don't know if you would consider coccolithophores an algae. You wouldn't.
No, I think they're.
Yeah.
See, I don't really know that much about the coccolithophores. I just know it makes chalk when they die. It makes chalk. So
yeah, that's where you get chalk from. So
that's it.
All right. Diatoms.
Diatoms are silica.
Yeah, diatoms are silica. Yeah, diatoms make diatomaceous earth, which isn't
that like a natural pesticide?
Yes.
It's also a natural filter. They use it in water filters, and they use it in pool
filters.
The stabilizer used by Alfred Nobel in nitroglycerin, and that's why we call it dynamite.
Interesting.
The diamond. Oh, okay.
Diatoms,
dynamite. Oh. How about that? Another fun fact for the Geology Flannelcast. So next time you guys are going to bar trivia, and fun fact, in Philadelphia they call bar trivia Quizzo, and I grew up my whole life calling it Quizzo. And I leave Philadelphia, and I'm like, you go to your local watering hole or the pub, and they're having trivia. You're like, oh, I said they're having Quizzo. Nobody knows what that means. That's another Philadelphia term.
What was that? There was a traveling host, Samantha. Shoot, her name was like Samantha something. She had a popular traveling show on the Travel Channel. Anyway, she came to Philadelphia, and it was like one of those like, you only spend like $40 a day kind of thing. And she went to Philadelphia, and
Samantha Brown,
and she went to Philadelphia, and she was playing Quizzo, and she was saying like, yeah, and they call it Quizzo here, which is weird. And every team has their own team name, and it was like, and the one team in the table next to her was Samantha Brown will buy us a beer. Which I was like, that's awesome. And she's like, yes, I bought that table of beer, but that does not count towards my $40 for the day.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, I guess does that kind of wrap it up for the day? We had news stories?
Yeah.
For the time being?
I think so.
Yeah. That was good. Just want to get something out there.
Yeah, hit us up on Patreon. Seriously, Patreon. We need to get to Hawaii. We need to get to Iceland and then the Galapagos. And
Yeah, not only do we have to go to Hawaii and Iceland, we got to go from Hawaii to Iceland, and that's a really long flight.
It is.
That's like halfway across the world. Yeah.
No, but seriously, for the Patreon, we're not going to use it for Hawaii vacation. Well, if we get thousands of Patreons, maybe. Yeah, think about that. We could do like on-site, like location podcasts.
I think right now your target should be like the Jersey Shore with the budget that we have at this moment.
Even that, I think you'd still have to be in Georgia. Maybe Jesse and I could do it. We can't afford to bring you up from Georgia right now. That's a lot of tolls.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, but seriously, everything you contribute helps us just get better at what we're doing. But like, perhaps I could buy a computer that won't interrupt every one of our podcasts.
If you're listening, you don't hear Steve talk for about 5 minutes or so. It's probably because his computer shut off, and, and Jesse and I are like, staggering,
stalling,
stalling, talking about coccolithophores.
Definition of an algae versus
what? Huh? No, allegedly.
Yeah. Anyway, so yes, it all does go to good use. We're not just like spending it on wine and women, if you will. So, or maybe they are. I don't know.
All right. Well, thanks.
3 months. Spending it on tasty cakes.
For those who don't know, are very tasty cakes from the Philadelphia region.
Yeah.
So,
well, thanks everyone for listening. So don't forget to check out the formatting formula for all your formatting needs. They will hook you up. Tell them the Geology Flannelcast sent you. Hit us up on Facebook at Geology Flannelcast, Twitter Geo Flannelcast, a little different on Twitter. Patreon.com/Geology Flannelcast, and go to geologyflannelcast.com. You can check out all the podcast episodes there, all the links that we post. For the news stories and stuff from the different guests that we have, all that you get some extra bonus information there.
Yeah, and we're constantly trying to improve our website. So if there are any, webmasters, coders out there who want to help out in other ways than financial, hit us up. We're always looking to improve. So
shoot us some questions. We're going to start getting them. I think the next episode. Actually, this is going to be backwards. We're going to release this one in a week and a half or so for now. But we're going to start doing more live streams. I think, especially for the episodes where we don't have guests. The live stream was pretty fun. The last test run that we did was pretty successful. I was pretty happy with that. So I think.
And we'll try to
get
promote it
heads
better
up.
Too.
Yeah. It was kind
as opposed to, hey, we're going to be live in a half an hour.
Yeah, we'll try to.
I think it was even shorter than that.
Yeah, it might have been, but
yeah. Thanks for the people that hung out on that.
It was fun. Yeah, feel free to send us questions in real time, and I don't know, try and stump us.
Yeah, well, next live stream, we'll play Stump the Geologist. Or try. If anyone has any questions, we're always up for a game of Stump the Geologist. So yeah, that's about it for this week, guys. Thanks so much for listening, and I guess just one last time for Ryan Thornburg out there. Oh wait, did you guys?
We couldn't hear it.
That was
wah.
Good thing I have the power to edit, and that never happened.
It's because of all.
Oh wait, hold on. I'm really.
At no point in my life did I go swimming less because of volcanic eruption.
You're welcome, Ryan.
That's some sort of deep fake right there. That's computer learning that is manipulating my voice.
Yeah, because we have the budget for deep fakes here at the Geology Flannelcast.
Yeah. That's what we're wasting all that Patreon money on.
Yeah, right. All right, guys. Thanks for listening, and we will see everybody next week. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Bye.